My entire career has been trial and error. I basically learned myself. When I went to Camello's, Tony Camello was partners with Tony Bongiovi, and I went into and Tony was on staff at Media Sound, coincidentally at that time. Went into this is a funny little story. I thought it was more about Addie, but here I am yakking about myself.
We're going to get back to
that. Okay. Yeah. I don't have, I have to be out of here like in a half hour. So we can't let it go past.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But there's some great stories with Tony. And it's really funny. So he said, yeah, I'm going to be working with Kool and the Gang at Media. We're going to record a single. And at that time, Media Sound, Bob Walters was the manager. Bob Walters and Tony Bongiovi eventually they left Media Sound and started Power Station, where I was the first staff engineer at. That's later on. It's a whole other story. But at this time, I'll go into, Tony took the bus into Manhattan. He didn't drive it. He took the freaking bus. So I met him in New Brunswick, New Jersey. He parked on the street, took the bus in with Tony, and got to Media Sound, where I had been with the band. What was the band called at that time? It was called Men Working at that time. The Brunswick record was Brandywine, but when the Bob Margoloff session was Men Working, way before Men at Work. So they stole our vibe, man. Colin Hayes stole my vibe. So we take the bus in and we get set up for a session. We're going to do, and it was the Media Sound. Bob Walters ran a tight ship. It's like 3-hour sessions, no lockouts, 3-hour sessions, morning, afternoon, whatever. So it was like a 11 a.m. start. And we did a whole song. I don't remember what song it was. But I watched Tony. I helped him set up the microphones. This is pretty much my only experience working with somebody like that, as in an intern or assistant position. Set up microphones, headphones, got it going, started recording. They hadn't put the Neve console in yet. It was a custom-made console with a patch bay. Like, oh my gosh. And Bruce Woodine had told me about the patch bay when we were in Chicago. And Bruce Woodine designed that Brunswick Records studio. Very smart guy. Beautiful guy. So we record the track, get it done. Okay, cool, man. And then it's time to do vocals. And Tony turns, and I hadn't done any fucking recording at all. I mean, I had done a little bit of stuff in Camello's basement, but this was, middle of 1972 summer. And Tony turns to me and says, hey, Eddie, do the vocal. I'm going to go out and get a sandwich. What do you want? What sandwich you want? Liverwurst on rye with mustard. That was my go-to back in the day. And so, yeah, okay. So he set up the mic and everything. And he splits. Here I am with Kool and the Gang before they had any hits. This was like they're on Delight Records, and they hadn't had the big hits yet. And I don't remember what song it was that we recorded, or if it even ever came out. It was probably a single. But I'd listened to Kool and the Gang. I can't recall what song it was. So I think it's Eddie Bell was the vocalist. I think I might be wrong. And okay, he said, "Okay, give me another track. I want to do another take." I'm there, and I go to the patch bay and I figure it out. Okay, was it 24 track? I think it was 24 track at that time. Might have been 16 track. I don't remember. Let's say it was 24 track. Nah, it's probably 16 track. Yeah. Okay. So. We go, I record the first vocal on track 13, I patch over to 14. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do some progress. So I'm working and I'm sweating. My palms are sweaty. There's sweat on the console. Let's do background vocals. Okay, let's figure it out. Let's double track it. Okay, let's do horns. I had to pull out more microphones, figure out where they were, plug them in. But I managed to do it, pull it off. So this goes on for 2 hours. And where the hell is Tony? He went out to get a sandwich. He doesn't come back. So it's like 2 hours or so. And Bob Walters, who I mentioned, to the power station with Tony, and at this time was manager of Media Sound. He was very cordial with all the clients. He knew the guys in Kool and the Gang. Bob comes in to visit. He always had a tie on, real proper gentleman. Ended up retiring, going to a nudist colony, if I recall, back in like 1980, 81, something like that. And here, Bob Walters opens the door. Never met the man in my life. He starts saying hello to everybody. How you doing? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. He looks over at me and says, "Where's Tony? Who are you?" And as soon as he said, "Who are you?" Tony Bon Jovi opens the studio door, comes in with his, "Hey, Eddie, here's your sandwich. I got it for you. Sorry it took so long." And Bob goes, "Who is this guy?" And Tony says, "Oh, that's Eddie Stasium. He's a great engineer. He just came in for the day to hang out with me." And that was my introduction to Media Sound, Bob Walters, and a lot of sweat.
I love it. It's trial by fire, I think, is the term for it.
Apparently, Tony had done this type of thing with many, throwing people in the pool.
Yeah.
He did the same thing to Bob Clearmountain. I don't know what session it was, but in conversations with Bob over the years, I recall he did the same thing with Bob. Did the same thing with Ron St. Germain. He's just like, "Okay, I gotta go now. You take over." And that was Tony's thing. I mean, all those Ramones records I did with Tony was, "Okay, I'll see you later." He's listed as producer, but Tommy Teordley, Tommy Ramone, and I really produced those, "Leave Home" and "Rocket to Russia." And, after 2 records of doing that, the band realized that Tony didn't do poo-poo. So, that's why I ended up producing Road to Ruin with Tommy.
Well, back to the Red Gemini project. So it's an all-star, it's a super group, project. And I guess one of my questions was, like, how did you choose who was on it, or did Addy set some of that up? Did you already know that?
Addy put it all together.
Oh, wow.
He put it all together. I knew some of the people I didn't know, some of the people I knew of. I mean, there's some hot players on that thing.
Yeah.
And they all, it was contributed by, sharing tracks. The drummer would record at home and send me the tracks, and then the guitar players would record and send me the files. And then I would put it together here. We did all the vocals here, and Addy did all the background vocals. We did Dez's guitars here, and he came down from LA. And I had worked with Dez on Jerry Only's Misfits, not Glenn's Misfits. And he's a good guy, good guy, from Jersey fella, as I am. And we got along. We've been friends for 15 years, maybe a little longer, maybe more, something like that.
It's so cool that that everything got pulled together, and it's a West Coast East Coast connection, and we're just lucky to have Addy in our community, and I hope she continues to stick around the Wilmington area. I know that she's all over the place, but I met Addy years and years and years ago. I had a band called the Cosmic Groove Lizards, and she came up and saw one of our first shows, and just like that was before she was really getting into music. I mean, she was into art, and just have always been friends since. But I've just loved watching her progression too. We both went to UNCW for art as well, so I've loved seeing. Do you have some of her art? I would imagine.
I don't. I do not.
Oh,
I don't have any room for any more art, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say seeing your background too, but
yeah.
I figured I figured maybe you had a.
I should get a piece of her art. I'm sure I will eventually. I just haven't been in a place to see all her stuff. Or
yeah, well, you're a busy guy. looking at your upcoming projects, and I mean, that's just an amazing array of things you're doing with the Atmos Dolby, remastering stuff. And is that kind of your specialty these days? Is mastering?
I don't do mastering.
Okay.
I'm not a mastering engineer at all.
Okay.
Never. I tried it once. I'm going to leave that to the professionals. I do not do. People sometimes confuse mastering and mixing or remixing.
Yeah.
With remastering. Greg Calby has been my guy at Sterling Sound for as long as I've been doing this. I started with Greg in '73. He's recently retired, and I worked with several mastering engineers over the years. And Bill Inglot does that stuff, and Andy Van Dett is a good friend and does mastering for me. But I stick with Sterling Sound a lot, and yeah. So, but I've been doing catalog stuff for Warner Brothers, or Warner Music. Did Talking Heads and Atmos, and I had a lot of archival stuff that I kept over the years that has been released on the box sets as well. And there was for the Talking Heads '77 box set, I did a remix of a CBGB show that I actually recorded for a radio broadcast on multi-track, on 16-track. I think it was in 1977. It was October 10th, 1977. I remember that date. And then I was on staff at Power Station, and my friend Chip Miles, the drummer that I mentioned earlier, and we recorded it at CB's for the show. It was a red hot show. They had just finished, the record had just come out, first record. And we went over to Power Station and did a quick mix. And that was bootlegged for years. But then they found the multi-track. So I actually did a new mix for the Talking Heads '77 box set. Did Dolby Atmos of the proper album with Jerry Harrison. And that was right after, a year before that, I didn't even know what Dolby Atmos was. And Nico Bolas has been a friend of mine for a long time. Nico's an amazing cat. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a lot of.
I don't. I'm a little naive on some things. It's such a big world that you can. There's people who.
Yeah, but he called me up about a year before that and says, "Ed, you're a great mixer. You got to start doing Dolby Atmos." And they're like, "What's that?" So when it came to do, I got requested to do the Talking Heads catalog from Rhino, Warner Music. They said, "Can you do Dolby Atmos mixing?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." And I'm like, "Nico, help!" And we started up. I didn't have a setup at home yet, of course. And we went to the Village Recorder in LA, and Nico came in and set me up and taught me. So Nico is in a lot of ways a mentor for my Dolby Atmos.
Okay.
He set up a template for me, which I still use. When did I do that? 4 years ago, I think. And Nico's a great guy, straight ahead guy, really great guy. Wears a tie all the time. Really smart, cool. I mean, check him out. Niko Bolas did a lot of Neil Young stuff. He did Rockin' in the Free World. He did tons of stuff with Neil recently as well. The Barn stuff.